which kicks us clear back to page 16, which are our non-resident hunts. And Mike, I don't know.
Yeah, I think I have some numbers to give you.
Okay.
We'll test them out and see if we'll get close to our 90-10 split. Just give me another half a minute here.
How much time do you need, Mike? Because I'm getting we need to take a break from my board. Is it a good time to take
Sure,
a break?
5 minutes
Yeah.
or 10.
Let's go. How about 7? 3:15. We'll get that. Buzzer.
That's not the electric.
All right, quick sound check. Vegas, you're with us.
Vegas is with you.
And Elko.
Elko's here.
Okay, we're getting tight on time frames for airplane flights and everything else. So we got about an hour before we start getting close to losing another commissioner, and we don't have a lot of commissioners left to drop. So let's try to get through the rest of item. I think it's 25.
So I'm going to, Chairman Drew, Mike Cox, beginning biology for Nevada Department of Wildlife. I'm going to give you all the non-resident bull quota changes to make it 10%.
Starting on page 16, hunt 4251.
Yep. So 4251, following units will need to be modified on page 16. 076 unit group early, 13. Dropping down to 111 through 115 early, 14. 111 through 115 late, 9. 221, 223 early, 9. That's it for 4251. 4256, 111 through 115, 3. 221, 223, 3. And 231, 2. Then dropping down to 4261, no changes needed. So that's 9.9% of the total going to non-residents.
And then 4281.
You know, we've never really had a split, a 10% split. So I did bump it up. It's about 8% of the total cow rifle tags are going to non-residents.
And that was just purely based on the lack of demand, if I remember right.
Yeah, but certainly we've got the demand now. I think next year we probably should throw a cow tag for non-residents in every unit group where we have at least 10.
Any questions of Mike? Okay, so the changes he made is just to ensure that we're staying within our 10% non-resident allocation based on our policy. Anything else? Questions or discussion by the board? Okay, so what I'm going to do is take it out, any county advisory board input on all the hunts on page 16 and 17. So all the non-resident antlered elk, as well as the non-resident antlerless elk. Any advisory boards? Public comment in Las Vegas?
No comments in Las Vegas.
And Elko.
No comment.
Anything in Reno? If not, we'll bring it back to the board. If there's no further discussion, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the non-resident elk antler illegal weapon hunt 4251 as presented, except as follows. The 076, 077, 079, 081 early hunt. The quota be set at 13. The 111 to 115 early hunt, quota be set at 14. The 111 to 115 late hunt, quota be set at 9. 221 to 223 early hunt, quota be set at 9. Motion would also include the non-resident elk antlered muzzleloader hunt 4256 as presented. The following changes. The quota for the 111 to 115 be set at 3. 221 to 223 quota be set at 3. Quota for hunt group 231 set at 2. Approval of the non-resident elk archery hunt 4261 as presented, and approval of the non-resident elk antlerless and illegal weapon hunt 4281 as presented.
Okay. Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion by Commissioner Johnston, a second by Commissioner McNinch to approve hunts 4251 and 4256 on page 2 with the updates provided by Mr. Cox for the 10%. And on page 17, hunt 4261 and 4281 as presented by the department. Are there any questions on the motion or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Which takes us to page 18, and I think Mr. Schroeder will take it from here. So Mike, I appreciate all your hard work. and keeping me on track.
It was mutual.
All right, Cody, don't make me get out the dry erase marker on the whiteboard back here to do this. Because if I have to start doodling, we're going to get off track real quick.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Cody Schroeder, for the record, staff specialist, Department of Wildlife. So I think there were some alternate recommendations, starting out with the junior hunt, any legal weapon 1107. White Pine, Story, and Washoe, I believe. Clark County's was a little ambiguous, so I might ask for them to clarify that.
Always ambiguous.
If they will. But in terms of the other alternate recommendations, the department has, we would agree with the alternative recommendations for the juniors.
And based on yesterday, Cody, if I remember right, we're about 800 short between what we're recommending and what the true demand for 2016 is.
That's correct on a total basis. However, on a unit by unit basis, of course, there's more demand for some of the areas near Reno and Vegas. Mostly.
Okay. Any questions for Cody?
Story, I'm sorry, just had a question. So Story tab wants to stay at a minimum of 10, because I only see one that's at 8, I think.
Yeah, the Story recommendation was to stay at 10, and that's, remind me of the unit on that, Cody.
195. That's the only one that they have, I believe, that they made a recommendation on.
Okay. Additional county advisory boards?
I guess you needed clarification.
Yeah, I know there's at least one that needs to clarify.
At least one of this. Cody, your question is that what didn't you understand, or what are you asking me, and I can try to give you the answer. For the record, Paul Dixon, if there's stand with Cody.
I believe the recommendation was to junior quota should be equal to the number of applicants. However, we have 800 more applicants than we have quota for currently.
Right, and so in previous years, we've always tried to match the number of kids who applied for a tag and have that many tags available, even though the tags aren't going to maybe be necessarily in the units that they wanted them. And so we were looking to make sure that every youth who applied had an opportunity, whether he had it local or some other place. And in the positive that I had mentioned under the antlerless elk, if we have to start shorting the number of tags that we get in the junior area right now, just because we can't do it for whatever reason for numbers, then we should start looking in the antlerless elk of having a junior hunt to make up some of the difference between the two, so that every junior has an opportunity to hunt if he applies for a license. That was the only thought that I had. That makes sense.
It does, and I know in past years we've tried to do that, but I think an 800 tag differential is going to be pretty tough to.
So I would look at next year thinking about having an elk piece tied and a deer piece, and so between the two, we can give potentially all the applicants an opportunity to hunt.
Okay. Additional county advisory board input on this one, junior hunt?
Ray Sawyer, White Pine County. All we're asking is that for the unit 111 through 113, that it goes back to the 170 of last year instead of the proposed 200. Reason being, it seems like with the rifle tags, the any legal weapon hunt for the adults, there was no change with those numbers, and so we're just asking to stay consistent with last year on the junior tags also.
Additional county advisory board input, junior tags? Seeing none, public comment in Las Vegas on junior tags?
No comment in Las Vegas.
And Elko?
No comment.
And public comment in Reno?
Public comment?
Yep, public. I think we did calves.
Sorry, I forgot.
It's all right, we can do it.
Well, I'll go in public. I heard that they're going to go with the things, but we didn't hear what you guys were going to vote on, so I didn't know. I just want to make sure ours is in there.
Yeah, so it's just junior, and the only change I had from Washoe was on 034 to stay at 15.
From last year.
Same as last, okay? Any other public comment, Reno? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Is there any discussion or question? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll go ahead and present a motion for the resident junior mule deer, antlered or antlerless archery, muzzle loader, or any legal weapon hunt 1107, as presented by the department with 3 changes. In area 034, the number would be changed from 10 to 15. In areas 111 through 113, the number would be changed from 200 to 170. And the area 195 would be changed from 8 to 10. The tab for Clark County's request that the numbers equal the number of applicants would not be accepted.
Have a second?
I'll second for purposes of discussion.
Okay, Commissioner McGinch.
The 113, I mean, we're already kind of pushing the bottom end here, and there's 2 things that concern me. Number one is that, that we widen the gap on the opportunities for the youth, which has historically been really important. And number 2, the department's recommendation to go at 200. And Cody, if you could just let us know where the department stands on the 200 versus 170.
I mean, for the record, Cody Schroeder, that from our perspective, we would accept either. I think that was probably just a product of the demand success formula, the reason it was increased. But it is 30 tagged for juniors, an opportunity, I guess, to get taken away.
So unless I hear from the sportsman's concerns about the opportunities for the youth, then I appreciate that for them.
Yeah, normally I would make an issue out of it. With the 800 gap, I think we're going to be 800 short regardless. So in my mind, 30 isn't going to be a make or break with those others. So I'm supportive of the motion. Any other discussion or question? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 6-0 for Hunt 1107. So let's take the 2 hunts on page 20. Resident mule deer, antlerless, and illegal weapon depredation, Hunt 1101. And then also, let's take Hunt 1181 at the same time.
So I believe we didn't have any alternate recommendations for the 1101, but we did for the antlerless and illegal weapon 1181, the doe hunt. There was alternate recs from Pershing County for 043, 046 from 50 to 25, and then from Elko, basically areas 6, 7, and 10 all had alternate recommendations. The 043, 046 is probably fairly inconsequential. I wouldn't have a problem with that, but the Elko recommendation is a fairly significant cut, and we're already coming down on all of those. So I would ask that the commission consider accepting our recommendations for the doe hunts on all the units except for 043, 046.
Okay, questions for Cody? Seeing none, County Advisory Board input?
Joe Prim, Persian Cat. I might not have any comments if Cody's okay with my 25. It might already be, it already sold itself. So if you're okay with it, then I'm good. No, I need to hear it loud. I need it on record.
Don't blow it. Okay, additional County Advisory Board input?
Fred Winter, Alpha Cab. So yeah, we did ask for more cuts, and this went back to the same discussion that we had on elk, that our deer numbers are down. So why are we killing cow or does? The deer numbers, we want more deer back. We don't want to kill as many does. Our major cut was in 101, 102, 109. For the past, since I've been on the board, this area started out at 1,400 tags. For the past 3 years, we've cut it because it's been an opportunity hunt. This year's survey come back that the deer aren't there. We're cutting our buck tags by a bunch. We're cutting, yeah, and then they went from 1,000 all the way down to 200 from the department themselves, saying that area 10 that it's no longer an opportunity hunt. We use that up. Our deer aren't there anymore. So we asked, bring it all the way down to 10 on that because our deer numbers are not there on those. That's why we asked for the cuts on the doe tags, is because our deer numbers are down. So why are we killing the does that can reproduce for 3, 4, 5, 6 years?
Okay. Additional county advisory board input on hunt 1101 or 1181. Public comment in Vegas
No comment in Vegas.
and Elko
No comment.
and Reno.
Bill Building, Washoe County. I asked the commission, who's the sole decider of this, to side with the county advisory boards on the bill hunts. Thank you.
Okay, additional public comment in Reno. Okay. So Cody or Tom, if you want to address this, it looks like there's some pretty significant cuts proposed by NDOW from 15 to 16. I know, at least in some of the units, we anticipate that we had a pretty good winter kill. Maybe explain to us a little bit or justify to us why we still need those tags. I maybe can answer that for myself, but for the sake of our other commissioners, give me an idea of why you guys still need those levels.
Chairman Drew, members of the commission, yes, I can address those. So just to go back to the Pershing County, again, I have no peace with that one, so we'll, for the record, accept the Pershing County recommendation. The Area 6, however, is a different, the 6, 7, and 10, really all of them are a different thing. We really feel that we need these doe hunts in place as a management tool. In Area 6, you know, we've had some challenges there with carrying capacity, the winter range, a lot of it burned up historically. We've put a ton of money into it, reseeding fires, but we still have issues with habitat, even connectivity between summer and range with some of the mining that's going on in there. And so really our goal is to keep the population at about 10,000. And that's what the quotas are designed to do. And that's what that's why our recommendations are what they are. Setting it back that much would only, you know, put us in a hole for next year, and so we'd probably be looking at coming in with even more next year. Now we did have significant winter in Elko County, and our fawn ratios were lower. In some areas, like Area 10, they were significantly lower than historical. However, in terms of doe mortality, we really haven't seen significant doe loss. We have collared animals out there. We calculated our survival rates, and they're within our normal range. We did have some reports of doe kill, and we went out and investigated them specifically in Area 6, and we really couldn't justify that there was a large die-off. There was some fawn mortality that we expected, but that was it. Area 10, we adjusted the population model down again for the second year, so we are significantly down in terms of the population estimate. However, our number is still fairly inconsequential to the actual population, the total population estimate, which I think we're at about around 16,000 for Area 10 now. Coming down to 10 would just, essentially negate the doe hunt altogether, take away opportunity. We do view these doe hunts as opportunity hunts. It's in policy 24 that we will provide that when available, and that's our stance.
Additional questions, Commissioner McNinch?
Thank you, Commissioner Chairman Drew. So, Cody, and I think the other concern, and correct me if I'm wrong, is we can have, when you're messing with that carrying capacity, it's possible that you put a lot of deer on the ground, but their health is in such their condition could be in that they're not capable of having babies or healthy babies, or certainly, not going to be good moms at that point because they're going to be trying to protect themselves. And there's a potential that we could reduce the doe herd and still have a better fawn crop than if we had the full money out there, and none of them having healthy babies or having babies at all. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. That's where we're at with these. We're trying to keep them, below carrying capacity if at all possible. We're trying to prevent a future winter event, and actually, we really feel strongly that some of our past efforts on these doe hunts may have helped this year with that significant winter we had, especially in Area 6, because we've been so aggressive with these doe harvests.
And I take the reduction in the numbers that have been removed from 2015 not as I take that to mean that the efforts were successful, that they are bringing down, and now you're kind of easing into that optimal area rather than trying to get there in a hurry. You don't have to be as aggressive this year to continue to get to that point.
I would say that, and just add that it's also about recruitment for this year. So because of those poor fawn ratios we're just not going to be recruiting a lot of fawns into the population this year. So we don't need to be as aggressive as we were.
Additional questions?
I have a question, Chairman Drew. Are those areas the areas that are contributing to the decline in the mule deer numbers in general?
Sorry, Commissioner Hubbs, can you clarify your question?
Well, I know our mule deer numbers, I believe they are down, and those areas, the 6 and Area 10, and I guess Area 7, are those the areas that are contributing to the decline for the most part?
Yes, that is correct. That's one of our biggest, half of our deer herd in the state are in those 3 units right there in Elko County, Area 6, 7, and 10. But I would just emphasize that because what we publish in the status book in terms of our population estimate is more of a factor of adjusting our population estimates down, especially in Area 7 and 10, for lack of a better word. And so, did we experience some population declines across the state? Undoubtedly. We're just coming out of 4 years of drought, and I'm sure that had an impact on the deer herd. However, I don't think those numbers that are coming down are necessarily reflective of the actual population declining like that. It's more of a factor of we're trying to adjust our models to reflect harvest trends and what we're seeing on survey.
And so the model is accomplishing, I'm just trying to, from a layman's perspective, by taking the females, what is the model takes the number down, I'm assuming? Recruitment down, or does recruitment go up?
Well, in general, if recruitment is below average or below maintenance level, like let's just use 35 per 100, 35 fawns per 100 as a metric for spring, a threshold. If you're above that, in general, you're going to have an increasing population. Below that, you're going to have a decreasing population. So we have seen the lower number this year. However, in the past 3 or 4 years, we haven't seen those poor recruitment. But we also added some other factors into the model. We adjusted our survival rates to reflect collar data, and that's where the population estimate is adjusted. So it's a combination of the actual poor recruitment and adjustments to the model to reflect it, if that makes sense.
Additional questions? I guess my position is I can understand where the Elko Cab is coming from because we've had this discussion every year, although I'm not so sure I quite support that drastic of a cut. I think the department realizes that we had some issues in those areas associated with the big winter. I think the adjustments seem appropriate without diving into the model. So I guess I would lean that way a little bit more, but it's kind of the flavor of the commission as well. Further discussion? If there's no further discussion or questions, I would entertain a motion on hunts 1101 and 1181.
So, Mr. Chairman, and you know, this doe hunt, you know, there's always hesitation at it, and I can tell you that in my mind, the way I understand it, this is one of the most. This is where we always have the biggest gap, and it's not like, well, we're 5 here, 5 there, and it's one of the most important things that we can do for this herd is to manage this, to manage them so that we have a healthy herd. We can make numbers, but there's two sides of the coin. You got to have a healthy herd to have healthy numbers, you know, to maintain that carrying capacity level. And you know, it's like similar to sage grouse. So you can put all the eggs you want in a nest, but if the hens aren't healthy, you know, you could put 12 eggs in the nest, and all 12 might fail because they're not good, healthy eggs because the hen wasn't healthy. But if you have healthy hens and you only put 3 eggs in the nest, you might have 3 healthy eggs. And the same concept kind of flows with the mule deer, at least as I understand it. So I'm going to make a motion that for resident mule deer antlerless any legal weapon hunt 1181, that we accept the department's regulations, and again, with all due respect to Elko County, with the exception of 043 through 046 from 50 to 25.
And Commissioner McNinch, did you include hunt 1101 as well?
I'm sorry, yeah, so resident, I did not, but I intended to. Resident mule deer antlerless any legal weapon depredation hunt 1101 to as recommended.
Do I have a second?
I will second that for the purpose of discussion.
Okay. So I have a motion by Commissioner McNinch and a second by Commissioner Wallace to accept hunt 1101 as proposed by the department and 1181 as proposed by the department, with the lone change of 043 to 046 being adjusted from 50 to 25. In that instance, we would be rejecting Elko County CAB's recommended adjustments. Discussion on the motion?
I feel like we should support the department on this because they have significantly moved down their numbers, and that's where I'm feeling at. I don't know where the rest of the commission stands there, but that's where I'm at.
Commissioner Moran?
I'm in attending the Elko CAB meeting. Wasn't like one person. Felt that those numbers were too high. And I'm not 100% sure on how they ended up, but whether it was a unanimous vote or not. But that's the only thing that gives me concern. So I haven't had any problem with the department's recommendations on the doe hunts because I think they are on the right track with it. However, it seems, and maybe it's a matter of the CAB and the public is in a bigger hurry than the department is on this, kind of like with the elk deal. But for the last 2 or 3 or 4 years, ever since that the department has recommended doe hunts in these unit groups, the CAB has always kind of wanted a lesser harvest. And it seems that like when the 1,000 was that's what 2015, that's a drastic change from one year to the next. And I'd like to hear Cody's explanation on that. If you go on the units 101, 102, and 109, to go from 1,000 to 200 in 1 year, I guess what's bouncing around in my brain, is it possible that the locals had an inkling that those numbers were were down, and then now this year the department has recognized that. You understand my question?
I mean, yeah, I do. I understand that. It's possible that we the callers, I think we were monitoring 70 some callers out there, and we calculated our survival rates on adult does to be between 83 and 86% based on a worst case, best case scenario. So it's possible callers we had on there weren't really reflective, or we had some pockets of isolated mortality that we didn't capture. From where we're coming down, that's largely a factor of, as I mentioned, adjusting population estimate down and our poor fawn recruitment for this year. We only observed 20 fawns per 100 does, so that's, we're not recruiting a bunch. That's why we're coming down. In terms of 200 versus 10, I mean, it really is probably inconsequential to the population. I mean, it's still less than, it's a small percentage.
Were you guys able to conduct aerial surveys in Area 10 last year?
This spring or last spring?
Last
spring, yes, we were.
How about this spring?
This spring as well. We were at 20 fawns per 100 this spring, and I think 38 last year. Which was actually we had been seeing an increase in fawn ratios up until this year, which we attribute to the heavy winter.
I had a quick question, Chairman Drew. I'm sorry, I can't remember your name. Cody. So basically, we think that the numbers were down in those areas, though, because of the drought, because of the bad. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what it was, what you think that was, or what was driving the recruitment down. From 20 to 100.
We don't know 100% what causes the recruitment. I mean, to be down. We think it was a direct factor of the winter, but certainly carrying capacity and the body condition of the does, as Commissioner McNinch referred to. We had some unhealthy does out there. They tend to drop less thrift fawns. They're more susceptible to predation. It could be predation. We really can't put our finger on why, but we think it's probably a combination of density and the severe winter.
Additional questions? I'll just say that having heard Cody say that essentially we're talking modeling noise with some of these numbers. I think it does provide some opportunity to a group of folks who've come to expect that opportunity or rely on it. I don't think it's jeopardizing our herds by any means. I think we're already looking at a significant cut, and so I'm comfortable supporting the motion at this point. Understanding where the cab's coming from. Additional comments or questions? Okay. If not, do I need to repeat the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. So we'll move to page 21 and into page 22, and this is our resident mule deer antlered and illegal weapon hunt 1331.
Chair, Mr. Drew, we did have several alternate recommendations from the county advisory boards. I won't go through them all, but we did come down quite a bit overall. I think it was in the neighborhood of 15 to 17% to reflect some of the lower numbers we were seeing out there on survey. However, that being said, all the other metrics and indicators that some of them I presented yesterday, hunt success, 4-point or better, buck ratios, even though we have experienced some declines in some of these populations in terms of our harvestable bucks, we think they're still out there. I'll just leave it at that for now.
County Advisory Board, questions for Cody? Or discussion by the board? Okay, County Advisory Board.
You knew I was coming. Joe Prim, Persian Cap. And I'm only going to talk about the 04 043 to 046 unit on this one. But it's going to be the same speech for the other two hunts that you haven't gone over yet. And the same reasoning behind it. The department's recommending 225 and 75 respectively in both of those units. Last year the quota was 191 and 70. Our suggestion is 150 and 50, which is a decrease of 21 or 28%, whichever one you look at. But if you go with the department recommendations, that's an 18 and a 7% increase in those units. We don't feel that that unit is capable of taking that many deer out of there because they did a limited survey and only classified 330 deer or so. We would rather change our hunt objective back to $35 per 100 does to let that unit grow a little bit better. The feed may come back in there with some of the spring rains and stuff that we've had, but that's yet to be seen. So we just like to back those tags out.
Mr. Casanelli?
43 to 46. We also, Tom Casanelli, Humboldt County, we also asked for a cut there and hopefully the three we share it together. We went with last year's recommendation, but we'd be willing, we talked going lower in our meeting, so we'd be willing to accept Pershing County's recommendation on that. And in full disclosure, we made another recommendation on 061, 068 early and late, keep the 2015 quotas. That is not in Humboldt County, and I don't see any recommendations from ALCO. So I wanted to know that, let you know that. 035, 50 tags as opposed to 80. 051. Recommended the rest of them in there to be last year's quotas. I'm trying to read both here. And that's where we stand.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Next, County Advisory Board.
Karen Winger, Upper County Advisory Board. Just to clarify, we did go over this, and we had no problems with what the department was recommending for the Elko County deer tags.
Okay.
That's why there was no recommendation.
And the question got answered in your CAD in terms of the disparity between resident and non-resident. Were you guys able to have that conversation? The fact that the non-resident guided was backed out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got that when we get the non-resident.
Okay. Thank you.
Glenn Bunch, Mineral County. I was trying to find which line to get into. As we're not in that side over there where we're wanting a decrease, we'd like to have an increase. We'd like to go back to what we had last year. We got a great big area, big county. In all reality, I think we could even increase that, but all we were doing is just ask to go back to what we had last year. Thank you.
For the record, Corey Latta, Lincoln Cab. Yeah, in 221, 223 on the mid hunt, we wanted to drop it a little bit back down to 150, which would be a little increase from last year. It is more of a social deal. Again, the people talking that they just didn't see the older $8 during that hunt. Some of the more anecdotal type references to that hunt.
Ray Sawyer, West Plain County. When it comes to 221, 223, the mid hunt, we voted to take it down to last year's level of 140. Seeing that Lincoln County wants to change to 150, we'd be comfortable with leaving it at 150 if you decided that way. And on the 111 through 113 late, the state is asking to increase from 40 to 50. It's kind of been an unwritten rule that the late hunts have 10% of the tags, and last year we were over that by 3 with the 40 that we had, and so we're asking to take those 10 tags and move 5 into the muzzleloader and 5 into the archery, and take that back down to last year's level of 40.
Sean Shea, Washoe County. I just wanted to let you guys know this big game quota recommendations for what we recommended is off. So I'm going to give you what we recommended. This was off. Okay. So for unit 011 through 013 early, their quota was for, the Dallas quota was for 100. We wanted 69. And this whole thing, what we're doing is trying to keep it in line with the drop in the junior hunts. Keep everything the same, equal. 011 through 013 late, 25 to 19. 015, 35 to 30. And then 033 from 15 to 11.
That's just on the late, Sean?
Correct. And well, up here tonight, we did another recommendation. I'm not sure where to put this, but for Washoe County, I just look at the other counties. We would like that hunt status book you guys got, because if you look at it, for all the species in Washoe County, like antelope and stuff, they group them in huge groups, like 111 through 115, or 011 through 015. We would like each species for each unit group. So, I mean, you look at antelope, they go 011 all the way to 015, 021, and 022 in that. We would like to keep it. What's 021 and 022? What's in 11? Just like the hunt unit groups. So we would propose that they could just change that. So once you read it as a hunt unit group, you know what they're talking about instead of 4 unit groups together. So we would like to see that. And I'll come back when you guys get to the muzzleloader, and I have those all broken down.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any additional county advisory board input? That's most of what we had anyway. Okay. Public comment on antlered mule deer in Las Vegas
No comment in Las Vegas.
and Elko,
No comment.
and public comment in Reno.
Lynn Collins with the Mountain Lion Foundation. I'll bring my card up in a minute. I actually probably should have commented on the prior decision, but it was because of your discussion that the information became clear to me that I want to comment on. Is it okay for me to comment now, or and ask a question? It may also relate to this issue.
If you're commenting on the issue at hand, that's fine.
I'm fine, but I'm also I'm going to be talking about female. I'm going to be talking primarily about last time and asking a question about your last vote and asking a question about this one. Is that possible, or do you want me to wait till the public comment period? It's fine, I don't care either way.
If it's not pertinent to the antlered hunt, I would rather we do it during public comment.
And will I be able to get an answer to a question during public comment? Because that's part of the problem
More than
I'm
likely.
seeing right now, and it might impact my need to comment later in the meeting. So that's where I'm coming from.
More than likely no, because in public comment, we don't want to appear like we're deliberating. It's
Okay.
very clearly delineated on the agenda.
Okay.
If you want an answer specific to mule deer antlered, we could address that because that's what we're discussing.
Okay, so then my next opportunity to get an answer to my question would be in June, right? Am I understanding correctly?
If we were to agendize it, correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Additional public input on Hunt 1331? Okay, seeing none. Cody, any comments on what we discussed so far?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I do have a few. First, I apologize. I didn't realize that we had incorrectly summarized Washoe's recommendations on the sheet that you guys have. And that'll be true for the muzzleloader and archery too. There's a few small discrepancies there. I also think there was a recommendation from Lander County for area 151, 156 early, which is not on that sheet, I believe. They have a recommendation for 100, which I don't think they have a representative here, but as well.
So that was 115, 116 early?
Yeah.
And their recommendation on that was 100?
100.
I'm sorry, 151 to 156. On our page, it just says Lander County. So the recommendation for 151 to 156 early would be from 200 to 100.
Yeah. That's
The recommendation, Washoe County is right on that.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. So is Lander.
So is Landers.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all right.
I think maybe there's two sheets, or I think maybe some of the muzzleloader, the 1371 and 1341, are different for Washoe. We can get across those bridges when we get there. So I'll just start approaching the recommendations. In terms of the alternate recommendations, I personally don't really have any problems with most of them. The one exception I would probably look at would be Landers, going from 200 to 100 in the early, I do believe would set us back on our buck ratio. Our model buck ratio is already well over 30, and the area biologist feels like he has the deer there and he would like to maintain harvest, that level of harvest in area 15. And then in terms of 221 to 223 mid, again, I understand the social component of the crowding and things, but there wasn't the same justification on their early season. We're coming down only 20, 25 tags there. Our buck ratio was really starting to creep up in area 22. I mean, we observed, I think around 45 bucks per 100 on survey with a good survey on 22. So all the remaining ones from the other counties, I wouldn't really have any beef with.
Questions for Cody or discussion?
Quick question, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Area 22, there's a decline in the number of recommended tags for the early, but then a recommended increase for the mid.
Yeah, that's just simply shifting a few more from the mid.
It's more allocating the hunters across the 3 seasons.
Yeah, let's try to spread them out a little bit. I believe the recommendation just wants to eliminate some hunters in the season. It's probably not a big difference. I mean, I'm not going to fall on a sword, so to speak, over that one. So, but if I had to pick between the 2 recommendations, I'd probably go with the 150.
Okay, further discussion or questions? If not, is anyone prepared to make a motion? Commissioner Johnston? No?
I can. I'll take a stab at it. If I've heard from Cody correctly, I think the department only has a strong issue with the Lander County alternate recommendation, which would cut the early season tags in half, 151 to 156. Did I hear that at least correctly?
That's correct.
Okay, so with that, I make the following motion that give this commission approve the resident mule deer antler any legal weapon hunt 1331 as presented by the department with the following change. 011 to 013 early, quota be set at 69. 011, 013 late, quota be set at 19. In 015, the quota be set at 30. In 033 late, quota be set at 11. In 035, the quota be set at 50. In the 043 to 046 early season, quota be set at 150. In the 043 to 046 late, set at 50. 051 would be 250. And 111 to 113 late would be set at 40. And 202 to 205 to 208 would be set at 55. And the 221 to 223 mid-season would be set at 150.
Okay, so the only county advisory board recommendations not included in the motion would be Landers for 151 to 156.
I'll second that so we can discuss it.
Okay. Story, recommendation to go from 20 to 10 was not included. And Nye County's motion for 251 to 254, they're recommending actually an increase from 35 to 42, was not included.
Mr. Chair, I believe there was also the Humboldt County, didn't hear this one, the 061, Big 6, early late, there was a recommendation for 1100 and the 130 would stay the same, I guess.
Right, so those were not included in the motion.
Gotcha.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion?
Chairman Drew, just to clarify, you're saying that the changes proposed by Humboldt County in 061, 062, 064, 066 through 068 were not included in the motion?
Correct.
Okay, and as well as the change that Lander County suggested for 151, 156 early from 200 to 100, that was not included in the motion?
Correct. Nor was Stories for 195.
Well, I'm confused by Story County's comment. It says it would like to stay at 10 tags. And in 195, the last year's quota was 20, so it's recommended this year.
Cody, do you have any clarification on that?
I believe that is referring to the junior hunts. I think it's an error on the sheet.
Yes, it was. Okay. And am I correct in reading this that Nye County actually wanted to increase tags in 251 to 254 from 35 to 22?
Yep. That's correct.
And if the second will allow, I'd amend my motion to include an increase from 35 to 42 tags and hunt units 251 to 254.
Yes. I didn't hear that one earlier.
So the motion that's on the table is to approve 1331 as presented. 11 to 13 would go from 16 or go to 69 for the early hunt, 19 for the late. 015 would be set at 30. 033 late would be set at 11. 035 would be 50. 043 to 046 early, 150. Late, 50. 051 would go to 250. 111 to 113 late would go to 40. 202 to 205 to 208 would go to 55. 221 to 223 mid would go to 150. And 251 to 254 would go to 42. Is that accurate?
It is.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. And we'll move to resident mule deer antlered muzzleloader hunt 1371 on pages 22 and 23.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I believe there were some alternate recommendations for the muzzleloader. Mineral, Nye, Pershing, and Washoe. One increase for Mineral and Nye in 161. And a few decreases from Washoe. I'll let the board speak on those, but we really don't have any beef with any of those either, so I'll just say that right now.
Okay. Mr. Bunch?
Glenn Bunch, Mineral County. We'd like to have this raised, or increase brought in on it. We would even be happy with 10 tags, but whatever the group goes with, we discussed this all over. We said we could go with 6, we could go to 10, whatever, and we just went straight across with last year. But if you want to increase it to 10, we'd be more than happy. Thank you.
Joe Prim, Persian Cab, and the 043, 046 unit. The department was recommending 20. We wanted to cut that to 15, and that was just to stay consistent with what we were recommending in the rifle hunt.
Sean Shea, Washoe County. Sorry, when I came up here and said this was wrong, they have a different sheet from what I said on our minutes. So I apologize. So I just want to make sure we get on the muzzleloader hunt 1371. So this is just to keep into line with everything we drop down. So 011 through 013 would go from 7 to 2, and 033 would go from 4 to 3.
Okay. Thank you.
Ray Sawyer, White Pine County. The only change we're asking is the 111 through 113, change that from 15 to 20. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any other cab input? Yep.
Fern Wonder Alpha Cab. On this hunt, 1371, we also discussed it and we're happy with the department's recommendation.
Okay. Right. Seeing no more county advisory board input, public comment in Las Vegas.
No comment, Las Vegas.
And Elko.
No comment.
No comment in Elko.
Okay, public comment in Reno, resident muzzleloader hunt. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. But I think the only recommendation that we had that wasn't presented was Nye County on Area 16, 161 to 164. They wanted a 10 tag increase to 35 for the sheet.
That's correct.
Okay. I think everything else was reported in the cab input. So, any discussion or question? If not, is anyone willing or ready to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept resident mule deer antlered muzzleloader hunt 1371 as proposed by the department with the following changes. 011 through 013 from 7 to 2. 033 from 4 to 3. 043 through 046 from 20 to 15. 111 through 113 from 15 to 20. 161 through 164 from 25 to 35. 202 and 205 through 208 from 2 to 6.
Second that.
I have a motion from Commissioner McNinch, a second by Commissioner Hubbs to approve resident mule deer antlered muzzleloader hunt 1371 as proposed by the department, with the changes being unit groups 011 to 013 to 2, 033 to 3, 043 to 046 to 15, 111 to 113 to 20, 161 to 164 to 35, and 202, 205 to 208 to 6. Any further discussion or question on the motion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Bless you. Which will move us to page 23, resident mule deer antlered archery hunt 1341.
Okay, 1341 resident antlers, we did have a couple of alternate recommendations from the cabs. By and large, the department would accept those alternate recommendations as well.
Any questions of Cody? County advisory boards?
Sean Shea, Washington County. Just to keep in the line, for 1341, 015 from 7 to 4, and from 033 from 5 to 4.
And no change in 11 to 13?
Everything lined out.
Okay.
Joe Crim, Persian Cab. Once again, in the 043 to 046 unit, the department was recommending 140. We'd like to take it to 90. That keeps it still consistent with the other two hunts.
Ray Sawyer, White Pine County. Again, unit 111 through 113, we would like to change it from 30 to 35.
Traditional county advisory board input?
Erwin Drelka Cap. We did agree with the department on all this, and there was one person that didn't agree on the 101 to 109 rate. They wanted that number to go up, but we voted for the recommendation.
Okay. All right. So let's take it to public comment Las Vegas for President Mule Deer Antlered Archery Hunt 41.
No comment, Las Vegas.
And Elko?
No comment.
Okay, and Reno, archery hunts? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Any discussion or comment? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve the resident mule deer antlered archery hunt 1341 as presented by the department with the following changes. In 015, reduction from 7 to 4, 033, reduction from 5 to 4, and 043 to 046, reduction from 140 to 90, and 111 to 113, an increase from 30 to 35.
Second. Okay, so I have a motion from Commissioner Johnston, a second by Commissioner Wallace to approve resident mule deer antlered archery hunt 1341 as proposed by the department with the following four changes. 015 would be set at 4, 033 would be set at 4, 043 to 046 would be set at 90, and 111 to 113 would be set at 35. Any discussion or question on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 6-0, which gets us page 24, non-resident. And did you need a couple minutes, Cody, to adjust those
Yes,
numbers?
Mr. Chairman, I probably use 10 minutes or so to recalculate.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's take a break to at least 4:30. Commissioner Hubbs, I understand you need to catch a plane. So I think what we're going to be looking at is a 10% adjustment primarily. And then we only have the private lands quotas, so I understand it's excused. Travel safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we will come back at 4:30.
Everything for us is like 10%.
Oh, okay.
She's
easy.
No, they were good. They were already set.
We think they're set.
Thank you, travel safe.
That's what
You just threw a grenade.
I guess you're right. Because it's here Wednesday.
It's gone. It's gone.
Well, you just have to say. Yeah, just go on. Next time, long day. If you went from 20 tags to 10 tags, we're just going to say, well, We'll get every help. That gives you a total. You subtract the resident from that, you'll get the remaining 10%.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is something that we're going to do. Well, I've never worried about
You do it for your benefit.
Glasses. Man's gotta get his
where you at? Persian, early. Drop down to 111.
Pennies? I have not.
Oh, okay. I'll stick around here.
Trying to make sure.
Thank you.
Take the 42 that I brought.
No way, are you serious? Okay, are you sure? Because you spend a lot and you're nice to us bringing donuts and everything over.
Oh, there he is.
We'll bring it next time because we'll just keep it on. Thank you, Jerry. You are the only
The order on the mind.
So you're from July 1st.
Nice going.
Sure.
Muzzle loaded. 033 goes to 3. You already got one of those. Yeah. Yeah, 033. And you got the one. I just gave. All right, down to 1 more to 1 5.
Well, it's starting right now, so you might as well.
We're bringing it up.
Towards the end of the
Boom.
Hypocrisy. Well, it's not really hypocrisy because you are always right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thanks for putting that stuff together.
Oh, no problem. You know, this evidence is finding
Yeah, and then
I know, I better tell him. Is it fine?
stick it in that set.
Okay, we'll tell him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Remember right here.
Yeah.
I
76.
And actually, I think we only have to do until 5:11. I can double check with
Yeah, so just to double check.
I've never
today.
Yes, till 5, and we have to be out of the building at 5, because that's TMCC.
This building?
Yes.
No,
No, really, that's why we don't.
All right, if folks can start finding their seats, we're gonna get going as soon as they're ready. We are kicked out of here at 5 p.m. and it's not that far from 5 p.m.
So that's like
So if I could get my commissioners back up.
I should have let Dr. Moon.
My God, opportunities are coming here.
Okay, so I'll leave them off. Yeah, you would have okay.
Never mind.
Two. And then, going down to 8. Oh, 3, 5. Oh, 4, 3, 5. Gentlemen, 5. That's the gentleman. Yeah.
Hot dog. Let's go.
Yeah, all the color systems, GBC.
2.
That was the reason why they wouldn't advertise.
It went up. Ejected. Ejected.
Did you tell me?
Yeah. It's not inch.
Oh, okay. Went from 35. Oh, 35. Okay. 222. And one more. 2009.
All right, I heard one more, so I'm going to go back to order the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners meeting Saturday, May 14th. And what we are picking back up with is agenda item 25. And we had stopped at page 24, non-resident mule deer antlered, any legal weapon hunt, 1331. And what we are tabulating is the 10% conversions. So, Mr. Schroeder, when you're ready. We are running short on room time.
1 minute. At 2:02.
And just while we're waiting, are there any members of the public in Las Vegas?
No chairman. There are no members
Okay, would
here.
you please let me know if that changes.
Sure thing.
And how about Elko? Any members of the public left in Elko?
Nope, no members.
Okay, please let me know if that changes.
4.
While we're waiting, Mr. Chairman, will say that our petition has taken on a certain rural flair. I feel a little bit like a Cobra at a Mongoose convention.
See if we can make it more uncomfortable. Mr. Schroeder?
Mr. Drew, Commission, members of the Commission, so I got the non-resident calculated, so start with mule deer antler, any legal weapon, 1331. A lot of these actually did not change much due to the low numbers, but I'll just try to go through the ones that would be different. So 035 would go from 6 to 5. 051 would go from 20 to 25. 202, 205, 208 would go from 2 to 6. 251, 254 would go from 3 to 4. And that's it for 1331.
Okay, let's keep going and get them all in one shot.
Okay. So 1371, the muzzleloader. 111 to 113 would go from 3 to 2. 161, 164 from 3 to 4. And then the archery hunt 1341 on page 27. 043, 046 go from 15 to 9. And 111 to 113 would go from 3 to 4. And that's it.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take all three of those in one package. So hunt 1331, 1371, and 1341. All the non-resident mule deer. Any questions for Cody? Okay, County Advisory Board inputs.
Current winter elko cap. The 10% came up in our cap very heatedly. And what was come up with it is that the CAB is strongly recommending that the 10% of resident tag quotas in Region 2, that we want to be 10% of what we recommended for our areas.
Okay. And understood that that backs out the non-resident guided hunts.
Yeah.
Okay. Additional County Advisory Board.
Sean from Washoe County. Actually, our numbers are a little different. We went with a rifle, 1331, 011 through 013 early from 7 to 5, and then from 015, 015 from 3 to 2. And then the muzzleloader and the archery stayed the same as their guide.
Cody, just a quick check on those for us. I'll bring you back up, just ask real quick. Any other tabs or public comment, Reno? Okay. We had two recommended adjustments. 11 to 13 early would be changed from 7 to 5, and 15 would go to 2 from 3.
Commissioner Drew, I mean, yeah, we have no problems with that. I think we're trying to stay the 10 to 90-10 within weapon class. That's how we've been sort of, going in the past. So we are just. Okay, it's going to be close, but we did fail to use the guided tags of 1235, 011 to 013. So I think 5 would be perfectly acceptable. It's not going to change the 90-10 percentage very much. The overall.
Understood.
Was there another one?
Just the 2 from Washoe. 015 went from 3 to 2, and I think it's the same situation. It's not a significant change.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Any questions or discussion by the board? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I think we need to do public comment.
I think we did, but I'll call one more time. Public comment, Reno. Yep.
I'd make a motion then, Mr. Chairman, that we approve the non-resident mule deer antler and illegal weapon hunt 1331 as presented by the department with the following changes. 011 to 013 early, quote to be set at 5. And 015, the quote to be set at 2. And 035, the quote to be set at 5. 051, the quote to be set at 25. And 202, 205 to 208, the quote to be set at 6. And 251 to 254, the quote to be set at 4. We approve the non-resident mule deer antler muzzleloader hunt 1371 as presented by the department. Following changes: the quota for 111 to 113 be set at 2. The quota for 161 to 164 be set at 4. And the non-resident mule deer antler archery hunt 1341 is approved as presented with the following changes: 043 to 046, the quota be set at 9, and 111 to 113, the quota be set at 4.
Second that. Okay, so I've got a motion by Commissioner Johnston, a second by Commissioner Wallace to approve non-resident mule deer antlered archery hunts 1341, non-resident mule deer antlered muzzleloader hunts 1371, and non-resident mule deer antlered any legal weapon hunts 1331, with the adjustments presented by the department as well as the 2 adjustments made by Washoe County. Are there any questions or discussion on that motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0 with our 4 absent commissioners. I believe that leaves us with page 28, resident, non-resident deer and antelope landowner compensation tags, either sex hunts 1115, 1215, 2115, and 2215, and this is a percentage. Mr. Schroeder?
That's correct.
Any comments or discussion on this one? Any questions by the commission? County Advisory Board input? Public comment, Reno? Bring it back to the board. If there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve resident and non-resident deer and antelope landowner compensation tags, either sex hunts 1115, 1215, 2115, and 2215, as presented at 1.5%.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Wallace, a second by Commissioner Morai to approve hunts, either sex hunts 1115, 1215, 2115, and 2215 as presented by the department with no changes. Is there any discussion or question on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. That brings us to the end. Mr. Schroeder, I appreciate your time and everyone's inputs. Unless there's something from the department or someone else that I have missed, we will close item 25. Going once, twice, sold. Okay, item 26, White Pine County Elk Incentive and Damage Arbitration Panel, Game Division Administrator Brian Wakeling for possible action. The Commission may take action to make 3 appointments to the White Pine County elk and damage arbitration panel to serve for the next 2 years. Just some quick background on this, because our temporary regulation did expire and we don't anticipate the arbitration process that we approved today to be cleared by Legislative Commission before the end of June. What we have is a situation where the arbitration process has reverted back to the old NAC. And so what we're doing here is assigning a local arbitration panel from White Pine County. And I do have 3 representatives per that NAC. It requires 1 member representing the local business community. And Mr. Wade Robinson has indicated that he would be willing to serve in that capacity. 1 member representing persons actively engaged in the production of agriculture. Persons engaged in the production of agriculture shall, upon request, provide Board of Wildlife Commissioners with a list of prospective members. Mr. Chris Collis has agreed to serve that position. And 1 member representing the local hunting group or the County Advisory Board to manage wildlife. And Mitch McVickers, with us here today, has agreed to serve in that capacity. And Mitch is a member of the CAB in White Pine County. Anything to add, Mr. Wakely?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, the only thing I have to add is that as you've addressed everything that as is laid out in NAC 504-430 and NAC 502-42283, that was included in the support materials for your packet.
Is there any question or discussion on that from the commission? County Advisory Board inputs? Public comment? I'll bring it back to the commission. If there's no further discussion, I would suggest that we formally appoint Wade Robinson, Chris Collis, and Mitch McVickers to the local White Pine County Elk Arbitration Panel. It's my understanding that we do have 1 arbiter. Okay.
And a second.
A motion from Commissioner Wallace, second from Commissioner McNinch, to appoint Wade Robinson, Chris Collis, and Mitch McVickers to the White Pine County Elk Arbitration Panel to handle our 1 arbitration case for this year. Is there any discussion on the motion or question? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0, with appreciation to those gentlemen for agreeing to serve and help us out. With that, we'll close item 26 and move to item 27, future commission meetings and commission committee assignments. Secretary Wasley and Chairman Drew for possible action. The next commission meeting is scheduled for June 24, 25, 2016 in Elko, and the commission will review and discuss potential agenda items for that meeting. The commission may change the time and meeting location at this time. The chairman may designate and adjust committee assignments as necessary at this meeting. At this point, I have no adjustment in committee assignments. I do believe we'll have several committee meetings, but I'm going to need to double check on which ones those are, and I have no reason to adjust the dates. I'll work with the department on agenda items. I don't have any in particular at this time. Director Wasley?
Thank you, Chairman Drew. The primary purpose of the June meeting is to set and revise upland game and fur bearer seasons and limits. There, of course, will be some regulations pending receipt of some coming back from LCB. As you indicated, we will need to determine which subcommittees meet. One thing that we will certainly be doing that I mentioned yesterday is acknowledging our Ted C. France recipient, Dale Coleman, for the Employee of the Year Award. He resides in Elko, and we'd like to honor him with a plaque at that meeting. I'd like to ask Suzanne, she's been taking some notes today and also coordinating with Jordan if there's anything specific that she has on her list for agenda items for that June meeting.
Just have the committee note the 2 committees, Heritage and Administrative Procedures and Regulations Committee, and then the regulations as well.
And then Pat, Commissioner Johnson, did you guys have a meeting?
Kirch also.
Oh, Kirch. Okay.
I believe we're going to try to have a TAC committee meeting in conjunction with the meeting at Elko.
Okay.
Administrative is going to do theirs prior to the Elko meeting, but we'd like to be on the agenda at the meeting.
Correct.
And Heritage at the meeting and also on the agenda for the vendors and projects.
Okay. I would just note that it will be the last meeting for two of our commissioners. Commissioner Morai and Commissioner Bliss have both indicated to me that they would not be reappointing for a second or another term. And so if people are interested in those two positions, they need to work through the governor's office to obtain the paperwork and apply for those two positions. And there'll be more on that in June. Anything else?
One more quick comment, Chairman. Just hats off to you for 2 days of well-run meetings. You had a lot of adversity and a lot of big-ticket items, and you did a great job. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can't say that after.
This is a possible action item, so county advisory boards, any input on item 27, future commission meetings? How about public comment on item 27? Bring it back unless there's further discussion. I don't require a motion at this time. Seeing none, we'll close item number 27. Open item 28, public comment period. Persons wishing to speak are requested to complete a speaker's card and present it to the recording secretary. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. No action may be taken by the commission at this time. Any item requiring commission action may be scheduled on a future commission agenda. So just a double or triple check, Las Vegas, no public.
No public.
And Elko, no public.
No public.
Okay, public comment, Reno.
Joe Crane, Persian Cab. I know, Chairman Drew, that you were contacted before the last meeting by the Persian County DA on an update on the lawsuit with Persian County and BLM on the wild horses. The DA is going to be on our June agenda. He's going to come and present to us at that time of what's going on and ask for our support. And then after that point, he's going to ask to be on the commission agenda in August to come and give you guys the 50-cent talk on what's going on. But in the process, I have one copy of the agreement at this point in time, and I'll leave it with you, Chairman, and you can read it read it at night, or I can give it to Suzanne. It doesn't matter to me. I only have one copy, but I just wanted to make sure you guys had a copy of it ahead of time. So, in at the August meeting, you weren't shooting in the dark at that time.
If you would please give that to Suzanne, I'll have her put it in the exhibit file and distribute it to the commission.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Additional public comment in Reno. Ms. Cohen?
I apologize for my confusion and taking up some of your valuable time before, Chairman and Commissioners. And thank you for the help of the department in clarifying what I'm trying to say now in the last few minutes. During your discussion of the female mule deer quota, a couple of numbers perked my interest. The first was that the spring young female ratios for units 6, 7, and 10 was at this time 28 to 100 ratio. And also that those units represent somewhere between 30% and 50% of the mule deer population in Nevada, which means that now the predator plan has been triggered for 30% to 50% of the mule deer in Nevada for what I called the slush fund yesterday. What concerns me about this is that if that was known yesterday, I feel that that should have been made clear to the commissioners when they were making their decision. And I'm being assured by the department that they don't intend to remove 50% of the mountain lion population of the state of Nevada, and I believe that they don't. But what it does say to me is that this points out the problem with our predator plan, which is that now we have a slush fund that can be used to kill any mountain lion that feeds on any one of half the mule deer in Nevada. And this is why we need better trigger mechanisms. We need to make better decisions within the planning process. And either this was an intended consequence, because you're actually in some of those areas trying to move the mule deer population down to carrying capacity. The lions can help with that. But now we have a situation where there will likely be pressure to kill lions in the very areas where they're needed to help keep a balanced ecosystem. And that is of great concern to me. And I think we're making the decision about the lives of these apex predators without sufficient information and without sufficient control on the mechanisms that are being used to kill them. And I appreciate the willingness of the department to work with me on this, but it would have been very valuable to have that information in advance of this meeting. It certainly would have been valuable to have that information before public comment was closed on the discussion regarding those 3 units rather than after. Thank you.
Okay, next public comment. Christina.
Hello, excuse me. Hello, commissioners. I'm Karen Taylor, Washoe County resident. I'm representing myself. I want to support Lynn Cullens and the Mountain Lion Foundation regarding that of concern that when mule deer populations are lower for a specific reason, what does that do to our predators? The couple other things on my agenda here, I would like to thank Director Wasley and his staff regarding the podcasts that come out every Friday on NevadaWild.org. They're absolutely excellent. Myself, my friends, and family, we look forward to listening to those podcasts every Friday. Thank you very much to the department. Also would like to thank Sean Shea and the Washoe County CAB. They have been providing some really good programs for
The conference is about to end.
They've been providing programs for the general public, and the last one was on pikas, and it was really excellent. It's good to see young biologists that are excited about what they do. I would like to point out a couple of things that have come to my mind in the last couple of days. So the old term double standard. I just want to bring up that the activists, we can't seem to bring in the reference of other states or the activities of other states without hearing, oh, I don't want to hear how they do in California. I don't want to hear how they do it there. And by 10:45 a.m., there were 5 statements indicating reference to other states and how they do things regarding hunting. And this had nothing to do with moving sheep to another state. This was just 5 references. Double standard number 1. Number 2, the non-consumptive public is too emotional, but as it has been said, the whole premise of bear hunting is all about emotion. That's how bear hunting came about. Hunter opportunity is mostly about emotion. Let's see, number 3, all letters and the numbers of people who attend are discounted from the non-consumptive public, but when one hunter writes in, it's brought up. By the way, if you take out the cabs and all the NDOW employees, we've had more people here in the last several general meetings. Your fees, to reiterate something that Commissioner Johnson said, fees that are used to kill animals, those are our animals too, so that puts us in the equation of the money regarding money that's funded for certain projects. So we are constantly and consistently saying that we have made suggestions and you haven't listened to our suggestions. It was said yesterday we don't come up with any suggestions, and we have. And we've also done things for wildlife all over the state. We just don't happen to do them through the Department of Wildlife. Thank you.
Next public comment.
For the record, Joe Blakeslee, and I'm speaking as a conservationist. So I want to just make a couple of statements about mule deer and lions, particularly in Washoe County. I've had a lot of experience observing the lions in Washoe County. Just to give a little perspective, this is the 39th year that I've been attending meetings like this. So I've got some experience on this. I remember when we used to talk in terms of 400 deer tags on the Sheldon versus less than 40. That's 1/10 the amount that we used to have in the old days. In those same days, we gave out 3 lion tags in Washoe County. Right now, if you look at the units in northern Washoe County, the amount of tags that we're offering in each unit has the potential where 1 lion will take more deer than the entire human tag holders. I guarantee you there's more than 1 lion in each of those units. it's out of sight up there. I mean, I've been watching this for a long time. There's a gorilla in the room in northern Washoe, and I just want to say that so that people who are listening can hear that. Thank you.
Okay, next public comment, Reno. All right, seeing none, thank you to staff in Elko and Las Vegas for manning the phone lines. Appreciate everyone enduring 2 very long days. So I would encourage everyone to go home, pull up a chair, and enjoy their favorite frosty beverage. And we will see you all in June.
We'll get together Monday morning. We'll link it up. Yeah, as long as they said 1.5. Make sure you link, get all the special tags, we'll generate that.